Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Monday, November 23rd Selectmen's Meeting. We have with us tonight our recording secretary, Shannon Winters, our town manager, Tom Wooden, and Selectmen Tricia Warren, Wendy Wolf, myself, Denise Griffin, Bill Handlin, and Russ Hoffman. So let's move into town manager announcements. Tom?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that, as you remember, every year Artist Alley requests to close off the byway for a day while they do their art shows and so forth. They have requested June 28th for next year's Windjammer Days to have us close that off for their art show. Also, as a backup, if the weather is bad, we have them set up in the fire station. Both the police chief and fire chief are on board with this. So I just asked the board this evening to approve that.
Getting
Right.
ahead of it, huh?
Well, get it off my list. You know? It is early. It's an early request.
Right. Well, as long as
Great.
you mention that. So are we all in agreement with that?
Yes, also move, approve.
Okay, and, all right, so
Second.
it's, great, all in favor? Great.
Thank you. The only other thing has to do with the former tennis court area or future basketball area, however you want to look at it, down by the school. Just so you know, so far we have spent about $900 in design work for that. Just recently I got a bill from an estimate from Layton's Associates saying that for future survey work that they believe this project requires, that they estimate another expense of $1,900 to $2,000. I just wanted to make sure the board was comfortable with that before I signed off on it and paid that.
Yeah, I
Board
am.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
I understand the sentiment that it's a little pricey, but that drainage in that area is so critical that I think we need the detailed survey for whatever we do there and whatever we do there in the future.
Okay,
So I think it's money worth
fine. I
spending.
also just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention that those were coming in.
I
So
appreciate that.
that's all I have right at the moment. Thank you.
Great. Financials, Julia.
Total revenue year-to-date, $4,244,224.32. Total expenses year-to-date, $3,555,569. Does anyone have any questions on the revenue or expenses? As you can see by the graph, which is a depiction of our tax collection is up compared to this time last year. And expenditures are roughly about 3 weeks behind in timing due to winter operations last year.
Last year it started early.
It did.
Right, we've already had one big snowstorm by this time last year.
And total accounts payable is $126,813.85. The bank balance is $2,435,581.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay. Moving on, we have, under the consent agenda, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes of the November 9th meeting.
Yes, I'll move with just a very minor correction. So, yeah.
So, good. Look for a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. And we have a renewal of Mama D's liquor license. Can I have a motion
Yes,
for
I'll move.
approval?
Yes, I'll move to approve the Mama D's application for the liquor license.
Second.
Okay, the police chief has initialed it. I think it's all pretty straightforward. Any discussion? Any questions or concerns from the public? So all in favor then of the Mama D's liquor license? That's approved. Great. So old business, comprehensive plan discussion.
Do we?
You want to do new business first?
Yeah, it just might,
Yeah.
if Robbie wants to
We
hit
go
the
with that?
road,
Okay.
he doesn't need to listen to that.
Robbie?
Okay.
talk us through your
You've got the report.
report.
First quarter report. We have everything settled in the office-wise. We have a new assistant, and Jen has been transitioning out of that role and just as a consultant to help out with that. But everything's in order. We were late to miss the first meeting of this quarter, but from here on out, you'll get this report right at the end of the quarter, and we'll request to be at the first meeting of the next month. So we'll get back on a proper schedule. But I guess the big news is not much news, that everything is trending and tracking pretty much as planned. I don't see any surprises for the rest of this year, and I don't see any surprises or large changes for next year's budget season. So we're about halfway to the fundraising goal that we set in the budget of $50,000. We're at $25,450. We set a internal goal for ourselves of $150,000. I'm not sure where we're going to end up with that, but I'm pretty confident that we'll get the 50 that's in the budget that we budgeted. We're just finishing updating all the bad addresses and resending out the last of the letter campaign that had gotten returned. The equipment reserve is being transferred quarterly as budgeted, so that won't creep up on us again.
So you might mention that you made a successful transition to a new billing company, and that all is going a lot better, right?
Yes, we have changed billing companies. That was something that was in process during the budget season last year, or at the end of the budget transition last year. It's done. We went through a mandatory 90-day cycle with Medicare where they hold all of your bills and pay them at the end after you've made sure that you're a real person. So that was probably the toughest thing that we kind of battled through this early spring, was going 90 days without any Medicare money. But that was a relatively smooth process. We're getting better reporting, cleaner collections. So.
Great. Question?
Go ahead, yes, absolutely.
Thanks for presenting this, and Jen, thanks to you for volunteering. I'm just wondering if, when you submit your P&L stuff to us in the future, if we could have a little bit more information to make it easy to understand, like putting in actual to budget, you know, for where we are in the quarter, and then the variance, because otherwise I have to say, well, this is one quarter compared to annual budget, so I'm doing the math to try and figure out, are you on track or not? So if you could put that in the spreadsheet for the P&L, that'll let us know whether you're under budget, over budget for where you are in the
Part of the
fiscal
reason
year.
we actually had more information there, but because our call volume spikes in the summer and then the revenue lags after, it's not that clear of information. That's one of the reasons we took it out, because our expenses will spike in the summer because our labor will be up and our expenses will be up, but some of that money can trickle into the next quarter, so
That's okay.
We got
That's
that.
what you
Okay.
call the footnotes, or what you provide in explanation. But it does give us a better picture of where you are, particularly saying your service income, you're actually, which you noted, you're ahead on what you would expect for the first quarter. So it just makes it that much easier to know in a snapshot
Yep.
kind of what you have, so. And a balance sheet would be great, too.
I can give you that, and it's not on here. Operating checking is 191,174. The donation account, which actually is donation account and grant funding, is 137,554. And our equipment reserve totals 152,475. So there's some of the donation money that has to be transferred to equipment reserve, and there's a little bit of equipment reserve lingering from last year in the operations account. So the operations checking is a little overstated.
Yeah, I think Jen knows what I'm asking about in terms of a balance sheet with your asset liabilities that would accompany this to give us a more complete picture of sort of where we are.
Yep.
So that'd be great. Thank you very much.
I would second Wendy's request for a little bit more information of the balance sheet. But overall, nice job. And you know, I've talked to you guys a lot about donations, and I'm delighted to see where you are with that.
Yeah,
That's a great
super.
job. That's really well done. And I appreciate that. I will ask, are the donations a lot of medium-sized, small-sized stuff? One or two big ones? Are they grants? Are they
I would say it's majority small.
I would say a majority.
majority of small? That's good.
Like $100 and
Yeah, yeah.
We generally, I think this is the time of year when we generally start seeing some of the larger stuff come.
Year end is when you'll see a spike in it.
So that's why we're really looking to clean up the addressing, get the last of the letter campaign sorted out.
Cleaning up the addresses, there is a never-ending problem.
Yes,
So,
that's the truth.
personally, I have not, but there has been a lot of people that have worked hard on that.
Yeah.
Over the summer.
This is
Great.
very nice. It is much cleaner. It's a vast improvement from what we've seen in prior years, and I really appreciate it. So, good job.
Yeah, and love the fact that we got it ahead of time to review.
You'll, like I said,
Super.
as we go forward, you'll get that with the invoice, with the request to be on the next agenda. So it should flow from here out.
Fantastic. Good,
Good, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
that's it.
Yeah, thank you both. Oh, Julia, I have one question for you. On the warrant recap, the 105 Booth Bay Region Ambulance
Thank you.
Service,
Yes.
is that the first
Yes,
quarterly
it's contingent
payment?
on you guys approving it tonight. That is their first quarter payment.
Okay.
Do we need to take an action to release the ambulance payment, or is that
When you
just
approve
happened?
the warrant tonight, it will.
It's in there?
I haven't sent out the check until you guys
Yeah.
approve the warrant.
Okay. I just was asking a mechanics question.
Formality.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good,
That was the best so far. It's the
That's
best
right.
in years.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Way to go, Russ.
Not me, not me.
Okay, so now we'll move on to comprehensive plan discussion. And I don't know whether everybody got a chance to read the recommended chapter that Wendy set out about transportation. I looked at it quickly.
Yeah,
Well,
I got a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, if people didn't have a chance, we can defer until people have a chance, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to talk about it if we're not ready.
Well, I'll just start with a couple of things. First of all,
Yeah.
I don't look at this very often, but every time I open it, I'm impressed with the amount of data that's compiled here. And especially this chapter,
There's a lot.
it's just loaded with data. And so, speaking of good jobs, I know, Bill, you were involved, Tom, you were involved in that effort as well, and what an awesome work to pull that all together. So,
Thank you.
great job there. And Wendy, I appreciated your questions, kind of directing us to think about specific things. Just to refresh my own head, this thing is kind of peppered with questions.
Yes.
Are those standard, or were
Yes.
those questions?
Those are dictated by the state, really.
Okay, I wondered, again, where that came from. Good.
It would be helpful for me, Wendy, if you could perhaps reiterate or perhaps summarize what the Economic Development Committee thinks is the key factors with regard to transportation for the region.
Yeah, sure, I'm happy to do that.
Help focus this conversation.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've talked about is trying to be prospective and proactive about transportation needs for the region. And I think that's done with the acknowledgement by the Economic Development Committee that there are going to be changes at the Booth Bay Common area, some of which have already occurred, and there may be other changes coming. If you look at what's happening in some of the local businesses, the Botanical Garden in particular, their master plan aims to increase visitorship by 3 times as part of their master plan. So if you think about traffic flow into the region, then the traffic flow down to the garden, traffic flow into the country club may necessitate some changes in transportation ways, walkways. The Route 27 sidewalk is scheduled to sort of go up in that area. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about how do we think comprehensively about our sort of transportation infrastructure needs, both roads, trying to plan prospectively walkways, and bicycle lanes, all of which are addressed in the chapter here in a way that tries to get out in front of development instead of constantly, which we've done now for 2 years, of saying, now, geez, they dug that road up, why didn't we put in a sidewalk or a bike lane? And the answer is usually, well, they had that plan before we had any input. And so the idea of talking about transportation right now is, can we begin to have some ideas where we intersect with the water district, the sewer district, and MDOT to start to say, there's some principles that are outlined in our comprehensive plan. Whenever a road gets redone, we would like to have prospective conversations about, can we put in pedestrian or bicycle walkways, and can that be part of the principles of how we'd like to have our roads and surfaces redone here? So the mechanism of talking about this is trying to help the Economic Development Committee understand better the priorities of the town of Booth Bay Harbor, the priorities of the selectmen.
What is the priority of transportation within the economic development? And that is of the list of things that you would want to get out in front of and develop and promote, et cetera. Where does transportation lie?
Well, it depends. There are some things that are going to happen in the more short term, such as changes probably up in the common, that we'd like to try and have some input in to reflect, I guess, the views of the broader Booth Bay region, as opposed to just saying the common is in Booth Bay.
Here's what I'm wrestling with. I think that's great planning.
Yeah.
I think that should be done. I don't see the direct connection to economic development. We can screw up economic development by having a really rotten intersection.
Yes, thank you.
I agree
That's
with that.
exactly, well,
I agree with that, but that's a very
yeah.
focused at a very, very particular location, and not necessarily the broader brush of the good planning.
Well, we
Well-
spent a lot of time talking about the gateway when we were
Right.
talking about the tennis court. And my comment, if you remember right, is I said, I think the general public feels the gateway to our community is frankly up at the common.
Right, no,
So if we want to have something that is both welcoming, easily accessible, then we need to start planning sort of what are the inflow and egress needs that make it easy for visitors to come here,
Okay.
and make it easy for them to also exit from the garden, say, and get into the town
Yeah.
without
so
a
that puts,
bottleneck in that area.
that puts the focus on, and that's a good way to put it, I think, not having any bottleneck in our roadway systems, which is a slightly different focus than looking at public transportation,
Yes.
bus service,
Right.
all those other things, which are all important, but probably not at this point in time as directly connected to the economic development issues.
Right, those I would say are longer-term
Right.
strategies.
Right.
And right now, what we're trying to do is do two things simultaneously on the Joint Economic Development Committee, is say, there are some things that are already in motion that we'd like to be part of to reflect the broader community input.
Yeah.
And then there are longer-term strategies, such as all the priorities that are listed in the plan, say on page 139, where we talk about local road design
Yeah,
standards.
there's tremendous amount of
That says,
information here.
okay, how are we going to start chipping away at this in a way that puts some planning and resources and gets the sewer, the water, and MDOT on the same page, at least when they're talking to the harbor or the region,
The
if
region,
the
yeah.
Joint Economic Development Committee is going to push for sort of a congruent approach to this, which I think we are. So that's why I thought this was appropriate to talk about. There's the plan for the Route 27 sidewalk is slated to go into effect in the spring. And one of the things that we've also talked about at the Economic Development Committee, and Tom can chime in, is as they are digging up that area for the sidewalk, I think there was already planned to put in sewer drainage line underneath that. We've talked to some of the booth-based selectmen, particularly those that work for the water district, saying, you know, while we're digging things up, what should we be thinking about that we're putting in place to think about the future needs of the town that isn't happening now, but if we say, as a principle, every time we dig up, let's put in a sewer line, a blank pipe that broadband line could go down, and if you're digging up the land, let's get those in place before you cover it up again, and then, you know, we want to go ahead and move to do some other things in economic development, and we're having to re-dig up the things that we should have been thoughtful and planned in advance. So we're having conversations about the sidewalk and what ought to be in place underneath the sidewalk as a way of starting to set those principles in motion. So,
Yeah,
so
I would
for-
tie it in with a broadband example, because I think that
Yeah.
has some real leverage on the economic development. Quite frankly, more leverage than a lot of other things.
Sure, I would agree. But one of the things that struck me when I read this plan is that we actually have plans like the bicycle pedestrian plan that spells out several principles, such as when any state or state aid road is reconstructed, the shoulder and travel lane should be sufficiently dimensioned to accommodate pedestrian and bicyclists. And I'm like, we say these things, but they don't seem to happen. So I'd love for us to try and get some information from those who are digging up the roads and the side of the roads. How do we begin to make this happen in a way that gets everybody on the same page about what our desires are? And whether that's having the water district in and chatting with them about what are the future projects, what can we plan to put in the ground when they're digging that up, and the sewer line, and looking at the MDOT plan and trying to figure out where is MDOT going to be working in the next year or two, and if we need to do surveys or analysis of foot traffic or whatever, can we get those done so we can justify our request to put in sidewalks or do things like that. I've talked a lot. I'm happy to have other people give input into the long-range comp plan, because it certainly is our plan, and it'd be great to hear other suggestions.
I just want to point out that at least for the last couple of years, quarterly, the water district, sewer district, and the town public works crews and so forth meet here to do just that. And they talked about what projects do you have coming up so that we can dovetail our projects together. And since I've been town manager, virtually every time we've had an area dug up where we had joint interests, we all went there at the same time to save money. And so that's not much different than what we've been doing for the last few years anyway. One thing that has come up in the conversations at the Economic Development Committee meetings was putting conduit under the new sidewalk. That wasn't something that was discussed a few years ago, but you know, if it's certainly relatively easy to do, I think that's a great idea. So,
Yeah,
might as well stay ahead of it.
I think the other venue that is worthy of some attention, and Mike's not here tonight, but the planning board has a fair amount of leverage in what utility infrastructure goes up, should there be any new subdivisions or development in the area. And we probably can do a better job of leveraging that, that control in that direction that we have in order to not only require that they put in a sidewalk, but require that they put in a conduit under the sidewalk, and just connect that with the other developments that we're going to be worrying about. So you need some way to fold the planning board into this, because they're really where the rubber meets the road on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, for some of the projects that are going on up at the Common and so forth, like Clifford Park and rerouting traffic because of the botanical gardens and even future expansion for the golf course, there's very good communication right now between MDOT, the architects, the towns. There will be even more with the public, because you'll have public hearings for all that. I think we'll all certainly get plenty of opportunity going forward to weigh in on what we think is going well, what we think is not going well.
Good.
One of the concerns I have, and I've mentioned this before, is the stormwater runoff from up at the top of the hill. Not so much with the sidewalk, although that will probably contribute a little bit, but I mean, we know the meadow has flooding issues now. But for phase 2 or phase 3, if there is one, I'm concerned that that is inevitably going to send more water down. So Dan Breyer and I met with Steve Malcolm and Daniel Betts last week to talk about, well, that was one of the issues we were talking about the sidewalk first, and then we started to talk about the runoff. And we're going to attack these as a two-pronged thing. We'll meet with MDOT about the sidewalk, and we're gathering some information right now to get a meeting together with DEP to explain what our concerns are with the meadow, and to start talking about, do we have some potential options to get ahead of this before the other projects are to take place.
Yeah, I think one of the things we need to think about as we consider this infrastructure planning is budget.
Yeah, well, yes, I think that was in maybe one of my questions is,
We need to,
what are the budget implications that we carry as a town that are either prospective planning to support the things that need to happen, whether they're surveys, seed money, I have no idea what those may be. But we do need to think about, if these things are going to unfold, they aren't just going to unfold magically. They'll either need to have some support from, surveys like Layton we're doing with, trying to do the basketball court, and we need to be able to have the capacity to do some of those things without sort of hamstringing ourselves that we don't have any money in the budget to think prospectively.
yeah.
One of the things I experienced working on the Wiscasset Bypass Committee was MDOT does an awful lot of surveys. They did a ton of them for that. Anytime they're making changes to their roads, they're not going to rely on our surveys. They're going to do their own surveys. And so those surveys will take place depending on what they project for increased traffic flow and the time vehicles slow down and how long they back up before that accordion effect moves again, the impact of roundabouts, all those things. So I'm not so sure how much money we as a town are going to have to put into that. But I mean, if we do, I think we're in a financial position where we can certainly do that. But I think most of those type of surveys would come from MDOT. All we have to do is tell them if we have any interest in things outside the scope.
Yeah, then it behooves us to provide them with a list of questions that we want those surveys to answer, because since they're not local here, they may answer the standard set of intersection questions.
Yes.
But may not, for example, know that putting the drainage into the culvert is not sufficient because we got to deal with it a quarter mile down the road when it hits the meadow.
Yep.
And those sorts of things.
So, Tom, what is our capacity as a select board to meet with MDOT to get a better idea of sort of their prospective plans, say in the next 2 years, of what's going to happen in the harbor area that we might have input in, or ask the sort of questions if there's any advanced work going
Well,
on.
I mean, you can certainly meet with them anytime. I can easily get a representative down here. I mean, you have their plan for the next couple of years. They don't have any major projects in Booth Bay Harbor. The only project they have next spring, early summer, hopefully more spring than summer, is to skim coat a lot of the roads here just as maintenance
Paving, yeah.
to keep the water going through. Other than that, they don't have any significant projects or even any projects other than paving.
Okay. The other thing that it'd be great for us to think about is, are there things that we can do by ourselves in the town? I mentioned Mike Tomko and Ken Rail and I went to a meeting on community economic development, and one of the examples they gave in terms of making livable cities was, I think they talked about the town of Nashville, where some folks in the community kept waiting for the town to put in bike lanes, et cetera, and a local sort of subdivision or whatever said, you know, we have enough room on the road. The group went out and painted their own bike lane. And, you know, in some sense, I'm trying to think, how do we try and send the communication that we are a pedestrian-friendly and a bike-friendly place, or at least start that perception, even with putting a bike lane in the one-way streets that go through the downtown, so that motorists, as they drive through downtown, are aware that on the non-parking side, there's a designated bike lane, and, you know, people might be biking through town. It wouldn't necessitate us paving anything additional, widening the road in any way, but actually just utilizing the space to communicate that we actually want to have multi-use for some of our roadways without having to have MDOT come in. I don't know if we can do that because it's 27. But it'd be great if there are some things that we could do on our own, with our own initiative, and Public Works perhaps helping us, that are low cost, but start to send the right messages about the type of community that we want to have. So is that feasible or possible?
I think if you have some ideas, we should probably jot them down as far as what roads are we talking about, where are we talking about putting these things, because, you know, especially in the congested downtown area, very often opposite where the cars are parked are temporary loading zones. Trucks are parking there all the time to make deliveries at places. We also have a fair amount of town where it's legal to temporarily parallel park. And so that narrows these roads down even much more. Most of the roads in the downtown are state, so we'd have to get their approval to do it. No, we can't just go in and paint it. I mean, we have to get their approval to put in crosswalks. I think if that's something you're interested in, start putting down some bullet points of what you'd like to do, where, and so forth. And, you know, I can contact, you know, the DOT and start talking about those things with them and see what their thoughts are. It's a lot easier to do these on our roads than it is the state ones.
Sure. Well, I'm just thinking the one-way roads through the downtown area are easy because they're wide enough that you actually could put a bike lane in.
Oak Street is not wide
Yeah,
enough
I'm
to
not
put
sure
a bike
what's-
street.
It's not really.
It's not wide enough to put a
There
bike
is-
Oh,
lane in.
well, Oak Street, yes, but the egress out of town is wide enough, so.
Which one are you talking about?
Townsend?
Townsend,
Oh,
yeah.
that would be a test drive. Yeah, with double parking there,
Yeah. Well, put it this way, there are people that ride their bikes right now through the town without any bike lane, and it is dangerous as it is. And painting a stripe in a little space that says, with a bike on it, that says, frankly, look out for bikes, this could be a bike lane, to me is a lot safer as a bicyclist than riding without one, whether it's safe, regulation, or whatever. Now, I know that will be an issue with MDOT, but it begins to set the tone that these are the things that we would like to see in our town to both improve safety, which I think is really important, but also start to say this is what we really want to have as a livable town, that we want people to be able to bike safely. We want people to be able to walk safely, and we need people to be able to get around in cars. But I must admit that I feel as if we are letting the perfect be the enemy of the good, so we don't do anything because, geez, it's too narrow or it's too hard. My approach, I guess, is let's just try something. And it may not be perfect, but at least it begins taking a step in the right direction.
All
But
right, well, put the
Yeah.
suggestions
I
together.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So is there must be a regulation width for a
Well, the
bike lane?
DOT has all kinds of road standards, sure, but I mean, I don't have them memorized.
No, of course.
But-
what?
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe, but, I mean, if we have some certain areas, if we want to do something like that.
It's
yeah.
worth having the
It would-
discussion with
yeah.
It
them.
would be great to look into, because I agree with Wendy. I've ridden my bike down Townsend Avenue, and, I mean, I've never had any trouble, but
Don't
it'd be
ride it on the
great to-
footbridge, or we'll throw you over.
Right.
I didn't think we were going to go there tonight, but
I couldn't help it.
I commuted for 5 years in Cambridge by bike, and
Yeah, I mean-
my best defense was I would beat on the side of the car as it was getting too close.
That's dangerous.
Bike lane or no bike lane.
But it would help me in getting a representative down here if we had some
sure.
specifics.
So we could
rather
work
than
on a
just
list.
general
We
List
could
of,
pull
list
together
of
a
roads
list.
that we're interested in talking
What
about.
roads, where are you thinking of it? Then we can at least start.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's a great bullet list right here on page 139 of the plan.
Yeah.
There are actually 12 bullets on there. I think from the bike pedestrian plan, it may be that we would like to prioritize and add some other suggestions to that, just like the one I made of trying to see how we could start in the one-way streets or whatever. And we can put together a bullet list. The other thing that was in the plan on page 157, under the strategies, is this road improvement plan, which is supposedly the responsibility of the select board, the town manager, and the public works director to prepare and annually update a multi-year road improvement program for all roads to include maintenance, upgrading, and rebuilding priorities by years. I know that probably has much more to do with paving and scheduling, but it'd be great to start seeing that and thinking about, okay, where are opportunities for us to maybe do a little bit more? And it would be great if we paid attention to
When you say a little
that.
bit more, what do you have in mind?
Well, if a road needs to be significantly refurbished, because the data in this chapter shows there are some roads that
Sure.
are in pretty poor shape that may get more than surface topping. So if we're going to dig up anything or really significantly pave,
What else can we do?
yes, what else can we do there in terms of underneath the ground and above the ground? In some years, there may be nothing. It may just be simple blacktop coating, and that's not going to provide much opportunity to do anything. But again, if we don't look and start thinking, it'll never happen, so.
Yeah. You're right. And I think to Tom's point before, I think for the budget for next year, I will expect to see some money in there for Route 27 drainage. Because in all likelihood, we're going to need to do something there.
We have a lot.
Stormwater.
We have a lot of projects to discuss during this, yeah.
Yeah.
Basketball courts, a bunch of things, yeah.
Yeah, well, the basketball courts, that's all already, the tennis courts, that's already,
We have some money. I'm not sure we
Underway.
have enough.
yeah, right, no, definitely, but we know that one's underway, but in
Right.
terms of new projects.
You know, also, each year when I sit down with the Public Works Director, we go through, you know, what do you anticipate for projects? It doesn't get on the capital improvement plan, and I think that's where you're saying we don't have one. We do, but it's not formally on there.
Yeah,
This
that's-
year I've asked Chris, why don't we just go road by road and we'll just.
That's why I was asking,
Let's provide that.
you know, what you meant by more, because there is a plan to repave if necessary, rebuild if necessary, redo drainage, you know, at a culvert if necessary, that I know you guys go through and have had in place each year. So I think you're right, the added value then is what else do we want to do in the way of probably infrastructure in terms of conduits and sidewalks and everything else. But in terms of maintaining the road, I think my impression is that's been covered.
Right, yeah, we do that. But I'd be glad to bring them to the budget meetings if people haven't seen them before and say, these are what we're anticipating for next year.
Yeah,
Well, I think that would be good, because I think
that'd be
we've
helpful.
missed that the
Sure.
past few years. We haven't bothered with that, and
Right,
it might
hasn't
be,
gotten down to that level, right.
right, might be good to do that. So, okay. Good. Other thoughts?
I'm all ears. Speak right up.
No, this is all good stuff.
Does that include sidewalks?
Absolutely.
I would hope
We've
so.
spent a lot of time on bike lanes, but
Yes. I think the same, that
Yes.
all goes for sidewalks as well. We want to take the opportunities to increase the number of sidewalks whenever possible.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
My hope would be is with the Bobcat, we're now in a better position to maintain the side, not a better position, a more cost-effective position to maintain the sidewalks than we have been in the past. I know that's always been an issue. When we put in a sidewalk now, you got to maintain it, you got to rebuild it, you got to plow it, you got to do all of that. And I think our per mile cost of doing that should have gone down. I think it has gone down.
Yeah.
So we're actually in a little bit better shape there.
Okay, good. Great. Okay, anything else on this topic? No? All right, we'll move on to public forum. I don't see many people in the public tonight.
Well, we have
We have Katrina.
two members of the public.
That's right.
Julia
I
gets to
said-
count
I
as
said-
members of the
I
public.
said not
Julia's not the
many.
public, she'd have to change hats to be the public.
Okay, so seeing no comments from the public, we'll move on to warrants. Can I have a motion to approve the
So
warrants?
moved.
And a
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion approved. And shall we have an executive session tonight to talk about personnel matters?
Okay,
Okay, Russ is back.
okay.
Right, sure.
Yeah, great, okay, so we'll go into executive session under MRSA.
Section 405, 6A.
Okay, got that, Shannon? Okay. So we'll go into executive session at 7:44.